Welcome back. In this course, we systematically run through the greatest hits that emerged in our research, and I want you to think of this in different ways. First, you want to do every single practice in the course. It's very likely, statistically, that at some point in the program, one of the methods will transition you to fundamental well-being. When that happens, some people then ignore everything in the course that comes after it, or they even drop out of the program altogether. You do not want to be one of them. Here's why. As I make this video, historically, we've had about a 20% dropout rate in the course, which is astonishingly good for online courses. In fact, most course providers are happy if 20% of people complete a course. One of the things that surprises people is that a lot of the folks who drop out of our program don't drop out because of the time commitment or because it's not working for them or they're frustrated or anything like that. They drop out because they've transitioned to fundamental well-being and they're like, okay, I got what I came for. Thanks a lot. I don't have to do any of these other methods really because, I'm now in fundamental well-being. So thanks a lot. I'm moving on. Listen, I get that. And I can understand that it can even feel like there's a strong draw to go in that direction. But I would encourage you that it's very important to continue on with the program. For starters, the outcomes are even better for those who, keep with the course after they've transitioned to fundamental well-being. In fact, it can really help you to lock in the gains that you've made. Also, it's not uncommon for people to find another method later in the program that deepens them even further in fundamental well-being. And sometimes that is even better than the initial method in terms of being matched to them. Another thing to keep in mind is that the research suggests that you can best tell if a method is in sync with you if you do it for at least a continuous hour each day for a week. This is an accelerated program, so some methods will be practiced for half a week and others for a full week. Now, this is okay because we typically paired similar methods together during a single week, but it's important to keep in mind. If one half of a week's methods don't work for you, that doesn't necessarily mean that it isn't in sync with you. In fact, after the program ends, you may want to go and experiment more with that and see, especially if you didn't find a method that worked for you in the rest of the program. At the very beginning of a session, you might feel like a method is absolutely terrible for you, that it doesn't do a thing, and maybe even makes you feel worse while you're doing it. You might even feel that way after a few days of practicing the method. Well, it might surprise you to learn that in these cases, it could be common for a method to seem to make a turnaround and start working for you after 5 to 7 days of practicing it. There's no way of knowing where over the course of a session, a method might kick in and turn out to be the perfect match. We mention this here because we don't want you to get frustrated on day 1 or day 2 or day 3 or even day 4 and so on of a method. A method might not kick in for you until later in the session. So it's important to really give it an earnest try all the way through, unless you're asked to switch to another one for some reason. Another thing that you'll notice is that the meditations start out very, very simple. For example, session 1's exercise is a modification of a very simple watching your breath type of exercise. Well, this is an exercise that you could have done a million times in various ways. You've been to meditation classes, or even if you've gone to a yoga class or some other type of event that has done some form of basic meditation before or after it. Something that might surprise you is that this is an incredibly powerful method. It's actually one of the most powerful forms of meditation that exist. One of the reasons that it has been propagated far and wide is because of its effectiveness. Now, another important thing to keep in mind is that we modify all of our exercises in important ways, so it's unlikely that you will have ever done them exactly like we specify. Maybe you've done something like watching your breath many times. We appreciate that you've probably tried some general types of methods like the ones in the course before. Just keep in mind that ours are probably different because we make very small but very powerful modifications to them that really matter. Also, keep in mind what I said about retrying methods that might not have worked for you in the past. You're most likely a different person than the last time you tried a method. And so if you get to a method in the program that you've tried before and it doesn't seem like it's worked for you, this is the time to give it a new shot. Whatever that method is, I'm sure it's been at least 10 minutes since you've tried it, right? And all sorts of changes can occur in 10 minutes in your brain from a neuroscience standpoint. Your brain and nervous system are highly dynamic. They change a lot all the time. And so even if yesterday you did some breath exercise that sounds kind of similar to the one we're doing in the program, today's a new day. And this is a new, very specially modified exercise for this program. So these methods, again, are optimized based on our data and the latest neuroscience in general, and they're going to be slightly different than the way you've done them before. Look for those differences. Don't just think, oh, I get the gist. I see. Yeah, I've done stuff like this before. And do it the way you've done it in the past. Make sure you're doing it the way we ask you to. If methods didn't work for you in the past, it doesn't really matter because they might start working for you at any moment, including today. In addition to that, your practice length and your practice interval was probably very different when you practiced a method previously. We'll talk more about meditation time in the next video, but for now, just be sure that if you encounter a method in the program that you've done before, you give it your all. In many ways, you need to treat it like it's the first time you've ever come across that method and just put everything you've got into it. No matter what your beliefs or your past experiences are, you definitely want to take advantage of every single exercise in this program and to not take any of them lightly. They are the very best methods, modified based on the very best science, sequenced in the optimum way that you can find. I'll see you in the next video.